This is you. This is your sister, your wife, your daughter. But this right here is you. This is your sister, your wife, your daughter. This is you. This is your sister, your wife, your daughter. But this is you.
So Sam starts with this poetic introduction where he flashes pictures of Charlie Kirk on the screen, pictures of the Ukrainian woman, I believe her name is Irina, that was killed, murdered by a black man in Charlotte, North Carolina. And then he goes on to show 5 to 7-ish TikToks of people celebrating. I'm assuming they're celebrating Charlie Kirk's shooting. So I have no idea why Irina is there, but she is.
And this is their reaction when you are killed. This is the joy they feel when your sister is raped, when your children are castrated, brainwashed to hate you. This is their ecstasy when the floor of the subway car is awash in your blood.
This is going to come up a lot in this video, but I refuse to believe that Sam sees the crime of rape as anything but a tool to his own advantage. You'll see why as we go through this, but it's just very important to remember that there are certain white women that we know of that have been victim of crimes that Sam Hyde has supported.
This is your sister, your wife, your daughter.
It might get tiring for you to hear me bring up Epstein so much in this video, but I do really feel like it's important to point that out for the sake of what you're going to see here today. He then shows Austin Metcalf, who was stabbed by Carmelo Anthony, saying, "This is you again."
This is you. Make no mistake, that is a symbol that is you. But this won't last long. They can't help themselves because they're so ugly and so low that the only joy they can experience, the only good that they can envision is to take something beautiful or innocent down to their level. And when they can't do it, the next best thing is blood. This is Charlie's family, and these are his children who will never be able to hug their dad and grow up with a murdered father. And these are the people who smugly revel in this, and they won't stop with just Charlie. The boats are burned. There's nobody coming to help. The barbarians are at the gate. This is the fall of ancient Rome that we are living through currently. And what happens in the next 2 weeks is going to determine the future of mankind. That's not hyperbole. That's just how it is.
Sam congratulates everyone who apologized because their last interactions with Charlie were unkind.
A few notes before we start. I've seen some Twitter posts from people lamenting, apologizing, because their last interactions with Charlie were less than kind. And congratulations if that's you, because that's proof that you have a soul.
This is weird to me because I don't think you should ever have to apologize for being mean to someone, even if they just died. You had nothing to do with that. People being mean to Charlie had nothing to do with his murder. It feels weird to say, good job for apologizing, just because somebody you were mean to happened to get killed later on. I would hold the same standard if Hassan Piker or Chent Uger or anybody like that got killed tomorrow. I wouldn't expect anybody to apologize for being hostile towards them after the fact, simply because they were shot or killed or anything. It just reads as the same behavior cringy liberals have displayed in the past, this pathetic self-flagellation of yourself in the public sphere.
We're stuck with this problem together. We're in this together. This is banter. It's for us to talk about. It's for our side to talk about. It's not for outsiders to try to use logic against us, to try to hold us to rules that they don't hold themselves to. That's all that needs to be said about it. The fact is, Charlie Kirk is a martyr. He is a Christian white martyr. If you are Christian, if you are white, if you're a shitlib who miraculously somehow still believes in free speech, Charlie Kirk died for you.
This belief in free speech that Sam Hyde is congratulating shitlibs for doesn't qualify if you don't say about Charlie Kirk what Sam wants you to say, because he's retweeting full-throated encouragement of people going after anybody who is less than heartbroken. I don't like this standard of pressuring people into performatively crying and lamenting somebody's death if they don't want to. That doesn't mean you have to celebrate it, but if people decide that they want to laugh, make memes, joke about it, I don't think you get to decide like that's not okay so all of a sudden. It just makes no sense to hold this standard.
We are all united now in a battle for the soul of mankind. And by the way, this is why we have free speech in the first place. It's not because of some 1960s hippie commie staged factory that we have free speech. It's not because Mr. Jew in a bow tie went on a bus and marched on Washington. The reason we have free speech is because at pivotal stages throughout human history, Christian white men mostly have decided that yes, actually, it would be worth dying to prove a point.
Yeah, white men were the first people to plant their feet in the ground and say, no, free speech is a value that is worth dying. That's true. That doesn't mean you're more deserving of freedom of speech than everyone else in this country. And as you'll see in this video, it seems like that's kind of the direction he's heading in. Because if you're at the point of saying like, well, you know, it's because of white men that you have any of these values in the first place, and it has nothing to do with anybody else who has fought for their constitutional rights throughout history. At that point, you're just saying all animals are equal, but some animals are equal than others. It's just that. You just got done talking about how it's not for us to use logic against you or to hold you to rules we don't hold ourselves to.
It's not for outsiders to try to use logic against us, to try to hold us to rules that they don't hold themselves to.
Well, my rule has always been that murder's wrong, but that free speech should be allowed. That's always been my rule. I'm not breaking any principles with the way that I'm behaving. I've never been in favor of people getting fired for their jobs for things they say online. I've never been in favor of people getting shot and murdered at rallies. Not even Trump, and I can't stand the guy. If you believe in free speech as a principle, you have to allow people to celebrate death. Even if it infuriates you, even if it makes you want to kill them, you still have to allow it. And there are plenty of ways that you can make people's lives miserable on the internet without posing a threat to the same principles allowing you to currently continue operating. That is part of free speech as a principle. Don't use these dead white men that you talk about who believe that this was a principle worth dying for, if it's only to leverage it and make a case for why nobody else but you should decide who gets to have free speech. That completely goes against any reason for you to bring up these dead white men. If you can't maintain the principle of free speech, the same one that these white men died for, then it's not me holding people to rules that I don't hold myself to. It's you. And it's not me who's betraying my principles in any way. And I say me because I do take this personally. I am one of these people that he is talking about. Even though I haven't overtly celebrated, even though I haven't like rah-rah cheered it on, there's examples of Sam Hyde encouraging people to go after those who haven't even done that, who have just posted quotes of what Charlie Kirk has said. If that counts as celebration, then he's got a very wide net, you know, a very wide description of what celebrating is. And quite frankly, I don't trust it.
Irony posters, anybody who's irony posting right now, I haven't seen too much of it, but for the sake of your own souls, you might not want to do that. And I say that as somebody who didn't always take everything as seriously as I should, and there's, you know, you don't have to take everything seriously, but there's a wrong time to do stuff, and it might have spiritual ramifications. I'm worried for you. That's all why I'm saying it.
Yeah, so the messiah of irony posting, messiah of post-ironic comedy, is suddenly not okay with irony posting, because now it's a guy he likes. There was a time you could have said this and gotten away with it, probably before you went and dragged every single ethnic minority through the dirt for laughs and cash.
This is you.
I'm royalty, and I gave you the keys to the motherfucking kingdom.
I think if you had been against irony posting back then, when it was people you hate, you would probably have more leeway to condemn irony posting now, when it's someone you love. The tears, the crying over a white man dying, the hysterical insistence that these people hate white men for their reactions, all that tells me is that you actually really did hate all those minorities you made fun of, and that calling it comedy was just a way for you to get away with it, which is what everybody was saying about you. I don't know if you remember that, but it's very ironic for you now to see what I did there, for you to now turn the page on irony posting and just say, well, now because it's the guy I like, I don't, now it's not okay anymore.
And lastly, important thing before rocking out here, I think that we are all so smart and internet savvy that we could, it's not possible for someone like me or like you or like little Timmy Thomas on his computer. He's got 10 Discord channels. He's a computer wizard.
Okay. He's got 10 Discord channels, guys. He's a computer genius. Little Timmy's got 10 Discord channels. He must be a wizard. Okay, Grandpa. Okay, Grandpa.
It would be impossible for someone as smart as us to fall for any kind of psyop or emotional manipulation at a time like this.
So, you will never hear someone like Nick Fuentes saying this kind of shit. Because while I have my suspicions that Nick is very dishonest in the way he presents certain information to his viewers, he is a highly intelligent young person who is incredibly savvy at using the internet. You would never hear Nick Fuentes say, we're too smart to fall for any kind of emotional manipulation. And you can correct me on that if I'm wrong. But the reason why I say you would never hear him say that is because half of the art of becoming an internet superstar is emotionally manipulating stupid people. You want stupid people to continue feeling stupid. You don't want to tell them that they're smart. You want people to continue feeling stupid so that they continue to rely on you, the charismatic white savior, for all information. That's what you want at the end. You want them relying on you for information. That way you limit the exposure they have to other sources, which may challenge the narrative you want your audience to believe. I really believe Sam wants to be a Nick Fuentes type figure, but I also get the feeling he's gotten too high off his own supply, and he's already unraveling because of that.
But on the off chance that someone, this is a very small chance, on the off chance that somebody somewhere with an agenda, there's almost no chance this is happening. No. On the off chance that somebody somewhere with an agenda might be looking to capitalize on this event, spin it for nefarious purposes.
This line about capitalizing for nefarious purposes, I want you to keep that in mind, because everything Sam is doing here is effectively to benefit himself. There is no monetary or aesthetic sacrifice that is being made on his part by saying any of this. It's completely virtue signaling for money and for attention on his work. So be careful when you hear this. But nobody could be capitalizing off of it. Everybody's capitalizing off of it. That is one of the reasons why I have avoided performatively crying about this whole thing, because doing so is extremely beneficial for you right now. If you see people performatively like decrying this violence, right? Violence is wrong, don't get me wrong. That should be obvious. If you're going out of your way to decry it like this publicly, it is most likely for your own personal benefit. Oh yeah, and then he says it might behoove us to choose our words carefully.
Even though we're so smart, it might behoove us to choose our words, would you say carefully?
Cautiously, carefully, intentionally.
A degree of precision.
Discriminately.
Discriminately.
Yeah? You think so?
No matter what the result of the speculation is, the end result is the same, and that's that you, white man, are under attack.
So I kind of agree. White men are under attack, and you voted for it. The economy sucks right now. White men are going to inevitably suffer because of that. They are already broke. White men, I hope you realize that you guys make up a huge chunk of this country's population. That puts you in a very interesting category, because if you go down, everybody does. And I agree that the left and progressives, especially Democrats, have neglected you as a result of their own bullshit. The people currently in our government, however, got there because of the hope that they sold you guys. Not even 1 year in, and what have they done except destroy your businesses and bleed you even drier of your resources than you already were before? If I'm wrong about that, again, as always, correct me. Everything that I've seen indicated on the news has told me that you guys are broker now than before. So if you want to talk about white men being attacked, I would question the people who are currently telling you whose fault that is, because a lot of these people actively worked to fuck you over.
Let's take a look at who our enemies are here. I tweeted at the quartering because he said, I love the quartering, he's my guy. He said, don't look at the video. You got to look at these videos. You have to know what these people are trying to do to you. You have to watch these. You have to know that there is evil out there in the world. This isn't like being 15 and watching Best Gore or something. You have to know that there is evil out there in the world.
So I watched the video, unsuspectingly, did not know what I was in for. Good God. Initially, when I saw the intensity of people's reactions to the shooting, I was kind of scared. I'm not gonna lie, because people wanted blood, specifically against leftists. And that is a group that I occupy despite having nothing to do with the murder or the people celebrating it. I don't even know if I count as like a full-on leftist. I'm sure people think I'm still a lib or a shit lib, whatever you want to call it, just because I'm not like full-throated loving Stalin. But, there's a spectrum there, of course. I understand why people were so upset. I really do. I think it's human to be angry about people who are celebrating this murder. Like a very famous political pundit was filmed in HD, like just getting his neck obliterated and blood gushing everywhere. It's awful to look at. And I think that is one reason why the reactions against leftists have been so intense, because people collectively were traumatized by watching that video. Not everybody grew up looking at live leak videos. Not everybody is used to seeing that amount of blood. What I think really fucked me up about the video was that you can tell Charlie had no idea what hit him. Like you can see him trying to like keep his head up so he can continue talking, and it's completely impossible for him to do so, and he just topples over. That's fucked. That was fucked. I assume that his last moments were probably him trying to figure out why the hell blood was gushing from his neck like that, and I felt nauseous. I did. So I think when people are seeing others celebrating this, and they're juxtaposing your smiling, shit-eating grin with what is essentially a gore video of one of America's youngest, most famous political pundits, you have every right to be shocked and angry about that.
There's this idea of the seen versus the unseen. And I gotta say, thank God Irina Zarutska was hot.
No, it does. It calls more attention to it.
No shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny to me, too, that he highlights this thank God Irina was hot, because the left has always been in favor of advocating for all women, even the ugly ones. When he says, thank God she was hot, he's talking about people like him who wouldn't have given a fuck otherwise.
For every one of these people being killed, who could be a relative of yours, it could be someone you cared about, it could be you. For every one of these people, there are thousands. Just alone in the UK, the girls being raped. Isn't it like over 100,000? How many is it? We don't see it because there's no video of it, and the media is not publicizing it.
I also find this ironic because if Irina had been trafficked by Ghislaine Maxwell when she was 14 years old and then systematically raped for years at a time, Sam would have voted for one of her rapists without a second thought. And he would have spent a large part of his career dick riding that rapist. And then he would have gotten on camera and cried about how Muslims are raping little British girls. Is rape only okay when rich white men do it, Sam? Do you think that might have something to do with why people don't fuck with you? I'm not trying to disregard the existence of rapists with brown skin. I'm just trying to find, where your line is on rape. How much rape is too much rape for Sam Hyde? That's the question I'm asking right now. Because respectfully, fuck off. You don't care about rape unless you can use the victims to paint racial narratives. You don't give a fuck about white women. You don't give a fuck about any woman. Epstein's victims could have been me. It could have been your daughter. It could have been your sister. When you're thinking about how Charlie Kirk could have been you, how Irina could have been your wife or your daughter or your sister, please remember that the reason you're capable of recognizing that is because the crimes are out and in the public.
There's this idea of the seen versus the unseen.
Meanwhile, the white girls and boys that were brutally violated for years at a time by Epstein and our current president are still being hidden from us. Crimes against them are still being conveniently covered for.
This is your sister, your wife, your daughter. But this is you. This is the joy they feel when your sister is raped. But this is you.
It's important to have great men to look up to. Trump, Joe Rogan.
And you have to watch these too. You have to internalize this. You have to realize that this is real. These are the people going to a vigil and shouting, fuck Charlie Kirk. But if anything like this pops off and people get in legal trouble, I will put money towards this if someone out there is capable of organizing that in a non-scammy way.
Do you think he would organize if any of the Epstein victims got into legal trouble? Or are those white people just not important enough.
It's important not to be obnoxious, but everybody needs to know about this stuff. Click view on the post that's muted. America, we must come together around in condemning the cruel and violent assassination of Charlie Kirk and become one nation that relies on the love. If you read the word love, have your defenses up. Be ready. The love and support of all of its citizens. Scroll up. I dream of an America with no Charlie Kirk. Don't believe any of these people when they say they want peace. They don't want peace. They just want to not lose. I don't think anybody, including myself, in America really, with the exception of people who've been victims of violent crimes or perpetrated them, understand how bad civil war would be. But do not believe these people when they say they want peace. That's not what they want. They want to go back to flying under the radar and having the ability to fuck with you at liberty with no consequences. That's what they want. You need to remember that.
I feel like this must be like at least partially projection, because this has been Sam's entire career. Flying under the radar, fucking with people with no consequences, fucking with minorities, fucking with like gay people, whatever. Every like half the skits that he's done are all mockery of other groups of people. And then when you pushed him on it, he would say, it's just jokes, man. It's just jokes, man. It's just jokes, bro. So if you want to talk about flying under the radar, obviously like flying under the radar can mean multiple things, but I feel like, you know, with accounts like Libs of TikTok or whatnot, there's always been a laser focus on the next cringe leftist meltdown that you can film. So I feel like it's very strange for him to claim that leftists are flying under the radar when effectively that is what he was forced to do to a degree when he lost his show with Adult Swim.
The white man's been coming up with technologies, cultures, civilizations worth keeping, worth saving, worth giving a damn about.
Thank you, white man, for inventing the computer, the microwave, medicine.
So Sam plays clips of various influential people on the left saying violent things. Most notably to me was the appearance of Hassan Piker in this compilation.
Here's Gavin Newsom, this guy. The attack on Charlie Kirk is disgusting, vile, and reprehensible. In the United States of America, we must reject political violence in every form. Play the clip.
I'm sorry. I know some people's sensibilities. I respect and appreciate that. But right now, with all due respect, we're walking down a damn different path. We're fighting fire with fire, and we're going to punch these sons of bitches in the mouth.
Next clip.
Left-wingers, liberals, you need to be fucking showing your opponent's guts on there, okay? You need to be gutting them. You need to be shanking these motherfuckers and letting their intestines just ride on stage. What the fuck is this shit, man? Slice them up. Slice them and fucking dice them. What the fuck is this?
874 Bellevue Drive, and I'm gonna kill you with my AR-15. Like that's the type of messages they were leaving in this dude's office, and he's resigning. Like he's literally, this is his last term. So I think that people are a lot more radical.
It's hurt poor people that they can afford housing in Berkeley. I don't know how that works.
My understanding is that the property owners who have properties there choose just not to rent it at all.
Yeah, kill them. Kill those motherfuckers and murder those motherfuckers in the street. Let the streets soak in their fucking red capitalist bloods, dude.
This honestly makes me nervous for Hassan. I don't even like how much trouble he's getting himself into. Like, it makes me, I hate this guy. Mm-hmm. It makes me nervous for him listening to him say this shit. This is opening a door that I don't think he understands and is not ready for.
It was so much worse than I thought it was going to be.
There's no other emotion that makes me nervous for him.
He even plays a debunked clip of Hassan calling for violence against Ela Klein.
All right, let's hear him talking about killing his fellow podcaster's wife or whatever this is.
Good Lord. Every type of armed resistance against both the settlers and also the Israeli occupying force in the West Bank. Doesn't matter if it's your favorite podcasters like Wife that participate in these raids. The violence that the Palestinians engage in an act of resistance against this illegal occupying force is literally legal, definitionally legal. Okay? It's just the truth.
Is it crazy to pray for Hassan?
No, absolutely
He
not.
looks so in over his head. This seems so dangerous.
Yeah, so apparently Sam Hyde is the moral arbiter of fucking with people's wives now.
And Anissa was up there like, oh, I'm just so happy we could raise all this money for Alzheimer's. One of your own fucking family members hit me up and said you don't care that much about your father, and that your father you have like a strained relationship or something, and that you don't care about Alzheimer's. So fuck you, bitch, hoe, slut, fucking slut, ugly slut. There's nothing worse than a slut who's ugly.
TOS.
I'll bust your teeth out, bitch.
Then the Asian guy, which I have written down here as a much more derogatory word, says, I've never seen people be so blatantly violent before.
I've never seen anybody say things that's blatantly violent.
Got anyone you want to call out in the heavyweight division?
Oh, you know it, lad. You know that Hassan Piker? I'm coming to...
Oh, fuck. I'm sorry. I forgot this was back when irony posting was okay. I forgot. Grandpa Hyde has deemed it no longer okay. It's no longer okay.
Cain Velasquez is such an ineffective pussy that he couldn't even kill anyone. He wounded the stepfather. He didn't even hit the fucking guy he was supposed to hit. And the reason for that, the reason why he was so ineffective psychologically is because the real target should have been himself. The real, Cain Velasquez, revenge was actually easy. You should have just done this.
Comedy is no longer legal.
I'll bust your teeth out, bitch.
This kid had a good point, too. The thing about cultivating a radical fan base is that you have to get progressively more and more extreme to satiate them and keep their attention. Hassan is now calling for the assassination of someone because they are Israeli. This was always the natural outcome of his politics. Yeah, he's like stuck. Like, how is he going to get out of this?
Yeah, so keep that in mind, because I'm going to make a point about that later. The increased radicalizing of an audience. All right?
I've never relished the misfortune of iDubbbz, just so you guys know.
Okay, well, I just straight up don't believe you.
It's hard to see people lose.
You're just finding a nice way to call him a loser. He's talk about wanting to fly under the radar so you can continue fucking with people, right? Problem is that iDubbbz hasn't really suffered any real misfortunes other than the shit you and other communities have brought onto him. I don't even really care about bringing shit onto other people's communities. I think shitting on each other is par for the course online. So iDubbbz was a guy, he shit on other people, people shit on him, and that's the way it goes. I don't think Sam Hyde is an evil person for trolling or messing with iDubbbz in any way. I thought the first troll was just as funny as everyone else did. iDubbbz isn't perfect. I'm not an iDubbbz fan. I'm not even a Hassan fan. I don't principally align myself with these people just because we may or may not have some political agreements. But iDubbbz has only lost if you are tied to a certain idea of what winning looks like. He has a wife, he has a career, and he has connections. I don't think he's really lost anything except for a specific kind of audience, which he has been clear about not wanting anyway. And it is that audience switch that people like Sam have been mauling about because they feel like they lost an integral figure for the edgelord shitpost movement. iDubbbz hasn't lost anything. People lost iDubbbz, and that's why they all hate him now, including Sam. You are all so angry that iDubbbz stopped triggering SJWs and that he started triggering you instead. And you have given his existence so much more worth as a result. If you had all just ignored him, maybe he would have actually lost.
You, white man, are under attack.
Sam goes on to basically say that America is the last place on Earth that's based.
And it's not so much that it's important that the idea of America being the best place is true or something. It's what's important is that there's a land where there's a reasonable degree of peace and freedom.
Then he talks about how his side needs the right attitude of optimism, compassion when it's warranted, etc.
It's critically important that we have the right attitude of optimism, compassion when it's warranted, reserve when it's warranted, resolve all the time.
Of course, I'm assuming that what is or isn't warranted will be left up to this man's extremely unbiased discretion.
And that brings me to my next point. The Constitution has failed. I don't care about some fucking piece of paper. I don't.
So Sam doesn't care about the Constitution. The Constitution has failed.
I went to high school. I learned about the Constitution. I know about the Holocaust and slavery. I saw it in a movie. I know about the Constitution. I saw that in the movies too. But in real life, it would appear that the Constitution is a fucking toilet rag that only gets thrown in our faces when it can be used against us, when it can be used to fuck with us, to make us poor, to displace us in our neighborhoods, to help us lose our jobs, to make it so that the jobs don't exist. That's when the Constitution is defended the most effectively, is when it can be used to make you ineffective.
I wish Sam would provide some examples of this happening to him, specifically to him or his side in general, but he doesn't. So I don't really know what he's referring to here, which implies to me that he is simply tired of being held to American principles, because now American principles are holding him back from doing what he wants to do. But it makes sense considering that people's criticisms of him have led to him losing financial opportunities in the past. It makes sense to see the Constitution as something which makes you ineffective when it provides the same rights to the people you want to fuck over as it does to you. I'm sure the King of England also found the Constitution to be very ineffective for his desire to own this country back in the day when it was first founded by, the white men whose graves you constantly dance on. The Constitution is very ineffective at allowing one group to dominate every other group in America. That was kind of the point, Sam. They go on this entire rampage about South Africa that I don't really care about. So the white yes man in Sam's video says how it's weird that Christianity is used as a cudgel against its believers by people who don't actively follow it or believe in it.
It is interesting how, like Christianity, it's used as a cudgel against its believers by people who actively don't follow it.
Yep.
And don't believe in it.
I'm going to let you in on a little secret. A lot of people who don't practice Christianity once did. It is the predominant religion in this country, after all. A lot of people who nowadays dislike Christianity were raped by Christians. And I don't mean that in the metaphorical way that it's often used. I mean literally raped. Like actually, by their fathers, their brothers, their priests, their communities. And then all those same people either defended the rapist or stayed silent when they saw it happening. Kind of like how Sam has remained relatively silent on his boy raping children on an island with a world-renowned sex trafficker. So I don't know, maybe he's okay with that. Sounds very Indian of him, if you ask me. I'm sorry, I forgot. Irony posting's off the table now. Millions of boys and girls across the span of this country's history traumatized for life because of Christian abuse. And if it didn't happen to them, they end up knowing people it did happen to. I'm sure that if you were raped by a black person, Sam Hyde would 100% agree that it's okay for you to be a little bit racist because of that. He would probably use your rape or your assassination or your killing by an ethnic minority in order to bolster his entire movement. And just to be clear, that doesn't make Christianity inherently evil. And I don't think it should be banned for being practiced. But when you say this country was built by Christian white men, please remember that a lot of white women, like the one whose face you just paraded around at the beginning of this video, physically suffered. That's why people attack Christianity, despite not, practicing it themselves. To tie this in all perfectly, Sam goes on to say that Trump surviving an assassination attempt was a mandate from heaven. Apparently this makes him ordained by God.
Trump survived a bullet. He survived multiple bullets from an assassin. And the assassin was a freak. In my opinion, that is a mandate from heaven. If you ever survive an assassin's bullet in that scenario, I would imagine that means something like you have been ordained by God to do God's work on the planet.
One might say Trump is the ultimate priest, currently raping my entire country. So apparently, according to Sam, Trump has a blank check to just do whatever he wants now.
He has a mandate from heaven. And now what he has with this confluence of events is a sort of open runway to enact whatever policies he could imagine in his wildest dreams. He has a blank check to do whatever he wants, in my opinion.
And a limited time to do it.
And a very limited time to do it.
I've never known Sam Hyde to be a very Christian guy up until this video, which makes me think that the persistent nodding to religion, specifically Christianity in this video, is really more of a way to appeal to the Nick Fuentes audience. Right? And I predict that that's actually going to cause him some problems. I would stop worrying so much about Hassan and start worrying about you, if I'm being honest. I know you're doing the religious LARP now to try and keep up with Nick, but once again, Nick has done the smarter thing by actually being harsh on Trump. My guess is that Sam has more MAGA people still in his audience than Nick does, and because Sam is a bludgeoning tool, I have my doubts that he will be capable of keeping up with the surgical tactics that Nick consistently employs when it comes to guiding his audience. Nick has been extremely harsh on Trump, and as you'll see in this video, Sam continues to infantilize and sweep for him.
It's time for Trump and the people in his administration to get off their asses and do something. He's been able to enact policies like Project 2025 when it comes to punishing pro-Palestinian demonstrators, but so far that's all he's been able to get with this.
It's not like Trump doesn't give a fuck about any of the rules and could technically do whatever he wants. Sam goes on to say what he would do if he had a mandate from heaven.
So here's what I would do if I had a mandate from heaven and I had the opportunity to fulfill that mandate. And I don't, so this is just speculation, but this is what I would do. First of all, any city where the body count on a given weekend is the same or worse than the body count in it's one of these shithole Mosul, Gogul. If it's a U.S. city where the body count is more than the DE Dust 2 Counter-Strike map in a deathmatch game, there needs to be military presence there. That's not a crazy thing to say. It's a national emergency when you have cities where there's 64-player map death matches happening every weekend. The people that perpetrate this violence in any American city, it's not hundreds of thousands of people. If you took the 80 most violent criminals and put them away for life, you would end American crime, 95% of it, overnight.
He goes on to say that if you permanently locked up the top 80 criminal offenders and never let them back out, you could easily end American crime. Weirdly, neither of these measures would have prevented Charlie Kirk from getting absolutely snarked out of left field. So you remember at the beginning of this video, Sam was sarcastically calling out people for wanting to capitalize on this tragedy.
On the off chance that somebody somewhere with an agenda, there's almost no chance this is happening. On the off chance that somebody somewhere with an agenda might be looking to capitalize on this event, spin it for nefarious purposes.
This entire video can be characterized as Sam Hyde standing on Charlie Kirk's casket and using it as a soapbox. Filming yourself crying about it only tells me that you, unlike Nick Fuentes, are much more emotionally invested in your own bullshit, and that is yet another reason why I don't believe your current attempts to cozy up to Nick are going to be sustainable for long. Sam goes on to say that if Trump doesn't care enough about us to keep us safe in our cities, then fuck him.
If Trump doesn't care enough about us to keep us safe in our cities, then fuck him.
No, Sam, I think he would just rather kidnap and rape your daughter instead. I don't actually think he gives a fuck about you. You're an idiot for having ever believed that.
Pull up the Constantino tweet. So this is James Comey on Instagram here posting 8647. Can you even believe this? That this guy is walking around, that's a death threat.
Yeah.
He needs to be in fucking jail.
What's 8647? I have no idea what that
86 means kill, 47 is the 47th president.
Oh, interesting.
Just because you're speaking in code doesn't mean it's not a death threat.
Wow, okay. Look at who suddenly knows how to read between the lines. I'm sure if we look back through your catalog, we'll never find this kind of coded language.
It makes Trump look like a fucking clown that Comey hasn't been arrested for that. That's ridiculous. Now's the time. Lock his ass up. Mass deportations, energy deregulation, firing civil servants. The Democrat Party, wrap it up. Whatever pretext you have to, I'm not a lawyer, okay? I used to be. Whatever the pretext is, RICO, case, whatever, the people who have called for violence, they should have a day in court. That has to happen.
One of your famous quotes is Hassan Piker, "I'm going to kill you."
All leftists who have called for violence or hinted at it have to be arrested.
That's like such a weird way to phrase it, too. Why leftists specifically? Wouldn't you be against all calls for violence? Again, it makes sense when you see this why he's so annoyed with the Constitution, because according to him, right-wingers should just be allowed to get away with anything.
Pretending like that's not a dangerous threat and not taking action on it makes him look like a fucking clown. This presidency's a joke. Whoever around him is telling him not to do these things, you have to get rid of them. The women, the Indians, anybody in the administration who's weak sauce on punishing crime, they have to be eviscerated. You got to get them out of there. Just kick them out, man.
Oh, but it's not Trump's fault if he's not doing what Sam wants him to do. It's just the women and the Indians. Trump is just a poor little baby. Poor little baby, can't do anything, can't get anything done. It's all the women and Indians he appointed. Awesome. This guy would let Trump rape his 15-year-old daughter, tell her it's a mandate from heaven, and then blame an Indian for not calling the cops. So ridiculous. Apparently, the J6ers deserve medals, and they should all be freed.
Are all the J6ers out of jail, or are any of them still in jail?
That's a good question. There should be just very few, if any, but they too. And
they should get
crew.
post, like after the fact pardons, like whatever the legal thing, like you did nothing wrong. They should get fucking medals. The J6ers should get medals, even the crazy ones. Even if one was there, got in a drunk driving accident after. Even the J6ers who are total crackpot, XRP, QAnon freak shows who got in drunk driving accidents and beat their wives after they got released from prison, they should get the fucking Medal of Honor. The guy that killed bin Laden, whatever medal he got a shiny one. And Derek Chauvin has to be let out of jail.
Yep.
Derek Chauvin should be the head of NPR.
If you're a leftist, if you've even thought of violence, you should literally be locked up for the rest of your life. Your life should be ruined. Your whole family's lives should be ruined. Your whole family should have their name thrown in the dirt. And your children sold into slavery. But if you're a right-winger and you storm a government building, you deserve a medal. You would crucify Hassan for saying the same shit, by the way. Sam goes on to talk about a bunch of other stuff he wishes Trump would do. Trump's not gonna do shit. And in 2 weeks, you're gonna find a way to excuse him from any agency he has, as you've done here already today.
What can we do? First of all, you need a gun. And you need to not be looking for fights. You need to not be saying stuff like Fafo, Karen, fucking karma's a bitch, and then shooting some shop owner who did nothing. You need to be protecting yourself and your family. You have to arm yourself. You have to arm yourself.
Well, I'll try, Sam. Thanks, pal.
And secondly, I think it's time to become annoying f***its. You see all the people getting fired?
Oh, yeah. Loving it.
All the shit that liberals did to us that's annoying faggotry, I think it works.
Sam says, all the shit that liberals did to us, I think it works.
Get these people fired.
Yeah, in an era where this country has less jobs than ever before, let's grind the working class people even further into the ground. That's a great idea. Trust me, guys, Sam, he totally cares about white people. You know, the majority of people living in this country, he really cares about you. He cares about you. That kind of behavior is something I would expect from Hassan Piker, a wealthy man in LA who can afford to be okay no matter what because he's above the consequences of his own advocacy. But it seems like you love that. You love being that guy. And by the way, I love this like seething hatred of Hassan Piker in general. He's becoming like a lightning rod for the attacks of every single idiot in America. Meanwhile, people like Destiny are getting off scot-free while having brazenly and openly not just mocked Charlie Kirk, but the firefighter who was shot and killed at the Trump rally.
But anyway, just to be clear, fuck you. Fuck the guy that got shot at the rally. This is why I don't give a fuck about showing sympathy. This is why I don't give a fuck. This is why I don't give a fuck about the sympathy for any of you fucking losers, because you won't own up to
don't
anything.
take it out on me.
Fuck it. Fuck the dude. The firefighter guy. Fuck Trump. Fuck the people that support him.
The one Hyde never filmed himself crying about, because I guess he was just not famous enough for the clicks.
This is you.
He's just too much of a working class nobody. There wouldn't have been a point in virtue signaling over his death, because average working class white Americans are useless to Sam if you can't line his pockets. That's why he only wants to fire the ones that would never pay him anyway. It's amazing to me how many random TikTok videos this grandpa can get his team to pull together, and yet nowhere in there is a mention of one particular large creator who has done what you believe average individuals should be fired for.
Anybody on the left that does any sort of disavowal, whatever bullshit, I think is cucked and weak. I saw Newsom doing it earlier.
But maybe I'm just being bad faith here. Maybe Sam just completely forgot about Destiny after he went on Destiny's show where the two of them bonded over their shared hatred for Hassan Piker.
Is there like a dream collaboration you have? Is there like somebody, like, obviously aside from your favorite character, iDubbbz, is there somebody that you like really want to do something with if you had the opportunity to?
Yeah, I have to fight Hassan Piker. You know who that is?
That's my arch nemesis. You have no idea.
Okay.
I created Hassan 2 years ago on Twitch, but yeah.
You created him, I have to kill him.
Well, if you're trying to fundraise for that, I would absolutely help you. He's been training. Did you see his Twitter videos? I think he would kill himself. I think he would commit suicide.
It's a huge risk. It would be the end of his existence.
Yeah, it would be pretty bad.
The worst thing he'd ever done. I would try to give him irreparable brain damage and I'd keep punching him until I got pulled off by the referee. I would try to hurt him as bad as possible.
Why do you hate Hassan so much?
Just cause.
That one didn't age quite so well.
You're basically punishing people whose only crime was posting on social media, and you're most likely not going to hit a single person who is actually participating in that same behavior in your direction. There have been countless liberals and leftists who have consistently stood up against this kind of behavior and who have spoken out against this because we wanted to reach some sort of unified stance with other reasonable people, regardless of their politics, on what we considered unacceptable conduct. But there's only so much we can do to make sure you actually see and recognize that. And it's not our fault if we're not clouded enough for you to care. You cannot do this tit for tat thing if the people you are now wanting to tat never titted in the first place. I would be very careful with maintaining this standard of punishing innocent people in this vague progressive sphere because you won't be able to play the victim in the future when it happens to your people instead. Encouraging people to act in ways which could get them fucked over later. And considering you want to protect white men from further attacks, I don't see why you would lead them to act in ways which would justify actions against them in the future.
Start cataloging this. We need a tech-minded person building a database because Palantir apparently is vaporware. They don't really know anything about what's going on.
Sam wants a database of people who have said things he doesn't like about Charlie Kirk. It brings up Palantir, an organization Nick had to handhold him through explaining, and calls them effectively useless since they're not cataloging the people he thinks should be cataloged. Unfortunately, Sam does not have the wherewithal to realize that this is tantamount to some random Indian guy thinking he can run the FBI.
They should black bag Kash Patel and put him on a I don't know, I'm not a military guy, but a C-706 Globemaster. Put him in there, isolate him like he's a serial killer, like he's on a rack and he's got the mask on.
Palantir just doesn't know what they're doing. We can't get through to Palantir, guys. I'd clean house immediately. Sure you would, pal.
We have to start taking a page from the left's playbook, and I'm sure there are better options. I'm sure there's other things to do, but if you're bored, if you're angry right now, just legally get somebody fired.
It's a valid thing to do.
That's a valid thing to do. You don't have to worry, and you don't have to worry about the police coming to your door. Just don't threaten anybody over the phone. But just call the employers of these scumbags and make them aware of what their employees are doing. It doesn't feel good to say this, by the way. This is like f***ity tattletale shit.
They're not empty threats, though. Not
But
anymore.
it fucking works.
It's ethical, too, because this tactic was used against people for merely supporting a presidential candidate. And that's not to say that, well, if they did it, we'll just do it. But it is right that people that are entrusted, whether they're teachers or nurses.
If you're a teacher, a nurse, a firefighter, if you're anybody, and you're walking around and you're saying you're gloating over somebody dying.
What about this guy? What about when everybody excused the killing of two protesters that he shot in cold blood because they were holding up traffic? What about him? What about when everybody celebrated that? Should those people lose their jobs too? Or is being an annoying only a crime if you're a lefty?
You're gloating over a regular guy who is well-intentioned dying. You should be out of a fucking job.
We should not tolerate people gloating about death. I see no reason why you should set that standard when we all know you're never going to hold your own people to it. You will never hold right-wingers accountable for gloating about death in the same way. You will only ever justify it. And the other thing is, I have no idea what Sam considers to be gloating. Am I going to get accused of gloating for making this video? For just daring to push back against him? Is that going to be considered celebratory or gloating in any way? I don't know.
If you are confused right now, if you're bored, if you're angry, if you're thinking about how you're going to get back, while you're thinking about that, what you can do in the interim is you can make a polite phone call and ensure that one of these fucking freaks is broke. Furthermore, catalog what they've done, download videos, do some investigation of your own. You can practice your phone skills.
Sam just spends time openly encouraging others to get fired from their places of employment. I don't really want to dwell on this for very much longer, but I do just want to say, remember that earlier, Sam was agreeing that people like Hassan need to constantly ramp up the radical rhetoric in order to keep his audience satisfied.
This kid had a good point too. The thing about cultivating a radical fan base is that you have to get progressively more and more extreme to satiate them and keep their attention.
The way that most radical groups operate is that there's always a justification for acting in radical ways. Always. Hassan has his justifications for saying the inexcusable shit that he has said. That doesn't make what he said less radical. Sam is perfectly comfortable right now making open calls for his audience to direct their anger at people getting fired. If he can justify that, then he can and will eventually justify violence, and you won't even notice it. So I would suggest that the frogs hop out of the pot before it starts to boil. Your anger and your pain are completely fair and justified, and I can acknowledge that even if my own feelings are significantly less empathetic than yours. My feelings on this topic have nothing to do with my principles. My feelings don't dictate my principles. Murder is wrong whether I like the person or not. But if you are allowing someone else to brain rape you and tell you how to manage your anger, then you are nothing but a foot soldier for someone else who is standing on your shoulders. You will eventually end up being fodder, and Sam won't even remember you. The rest of this video is Colin's. I'm not going to go into it very much, but I do want to play you just this one.
A great man once said, when we win, do not forget that these people want you broke, dead, your kids raped, and brainwashed. And they think it's funny. We can't forget that.
In case you don't remember, here's the full quote. Well, I mean, that pretty much was the full quote, but I'll just read it again anyway. When we win, don't forget that these people want you broke, dead, your kids raped and brainwashed, and they think it's funny. That is, of course, a Sam Hyde quote, a guy who thinks that you should lose your job for utilizing the same speech he enjoyed when he said he wanted to kill Hassan Piker, who thinks Trump, a literal child rapist who has ruined this economy and wants to kick people off of welfare programs, keeping them alive right now, has a mandate from heaven to do whatever he wants. A guy who only cares about white women when he can use them to further brainwash his audience to do his bidding. How is that not the literal definition of broke, dead, raped, and brainwashed? So I can only assume that by his own words, Sam Hyde thinks this is funny. Then again, he is supposed to be a comedian, after all. Thanks, guys. That's it.